All right, we're at the point where we need to lower the chassis down. We gotta swing the legs out, but fortunately the bottom of this chassis is so flat that even though this thing was made for S chassis frame rails, it should fit on no problem. All right, that fits pretty good. I gotta pressure wash the chassis. This thing's full of leaves, sand, all kinds of stuff. Sand's been coming out of every orifice the whole time. We've swept the shop like 5 times. All right, we have the car all washed. It's clean, no more glue, no more seam sealer. It's ready for fab work. So the first thing we're gonna do is start building boxes for the hoop to land on. We're gonna build some boxes in this corner because this is the frame rail and this ties into the frame rail down below and is a steel parcel panel. Have the hoop run up into here, and we're gonna try to get it as close as possible into here and still be able to weld it in. This is the top mounts. Since this is a non-Z06 car, it has a target top and no support or anything here. Gonna have to cut this, make the cage work around it, and start going to town. We're trimming all the stuff off the front end that we don't need. Ty's actually already been here, cutting off this side of it, marked it with a tape line. This is just inner fender stuff for stock cars. May or may not interfere with what we're gonna be doing, but it's just added weight that we don't need. I mean, look at the difference between this side and this side. Much cleaner. This is a headlight bucket, so that's already done. This is where the fender mounts, that's already done. So bam, tube front, checked off the list. We're doing some stuff like getting the top, maintaining the OEM latches, but we have to clearance it out for the hoop because the main hoop is gonna go right here. We got our shapes cut out for our boxes for our hoop, and the front boxes partly ready for our A-pillars to land. We had to clearance out in here to give us room for the A-pillars, but now that this is all clean, once that's just done, we're gonna trace out the main hoop and start bending. So we're fitting up the main hoop template now, and here at our shop, we do template bending. So this is a bend, it's 90 degrees. We have a start mark, and we use that to visually see where the bend is going to start and wind up. So something pretty sweet about a Corvette is that since there's nothing back here, Ty and I were able to trim up a piece of cardboard to go around and fit to the chassis so that we'll know the width, clears the tranny tunnel, and this is where the main hoop's gonna sit. We're able to just go ahead and mark it with a Sharpie. So our layout's done, our measurements are figured out, and it's pretty exciting because we're gonna take the first cut for the piece of tubing for the Corvette. First cut, first piece of tube, time to start bending. All right, so we got our top 2 bends. Now we're gonna flat. Yeah. All right, lays flat. Throw it in our template and see where we want to start going for our second bend. So as you can see here, this is like where that roof mount is, and this is where the chassis is. So we're just inside the chassis, pretty much right where we want to be. And then we're gonna start our second mark. Make sure we wind up inboard of the bottom foot. Give ourselves a little bit of room for the door bars to be welded all the way around. And we'll be able to trim it and throw it in. All right. That's it. See how we have the door bar, or where the door bar is going to be mounting on the hoop inboard, so we'll be able to weld all the way around the door bar there, and it'll land center on our box. The cardboard represents the outside of the car. All right, so the hoop seems to fit pretty good. It landed exactly where we wanted it to here. Be able to weld the roof mount into it. we have just enough room to get our door bars in here and the correct amount of clearance that we wanted up top. So we're getting the boxes tacked in. We have the hoop bent up, fit. We're gonna have to put it in, mark it, trim it, and then be able to fit it onto our boxes. And these are kind of crazy looking boxes. So normally we would just come across the floor, fill in the corner, but you can't since it's fiberglass. So we have it fit so it still welds to the steel part of the chassis. We'll be able to TIG weld the front of this, MIG weld that into the chassis, and seeing as this is the actual frame rail right here, it should be plenty strong. We got the hoop in. It's feels pretty damn good. So we got our boxes done. This is how the hoop fits. This is the roof mount that we're gonna be welding into the hoop. Hoop's super level all the way across. Nice gaps all the way down. Just enough to weld our door bars in. Just enough to get all the way around the bottom portion of it welding. I'm pretty impressed. All right, now that the hoop and everything is all tacked, we're gonna start with our rear bars. Just tacked in these plates. The rear bar is gonna come basically from the opposite side of where the A-pillar is gonna land, mounted on the hoop, come down to here on both sides. Then after that, we'll start working on our A-pillars. So now that I got my lower angle correct and it sits nice and flat on the plate, I'm gonna come up here and mark my notch. So you can see here, I put a Sharpie mark on the center line of the top of my notch. So I'm gonna bring this over here to the tube notcher. Put it in, set my angle, run it, and then see how it fits on the car. All right, I got my notch. The notch fits good. Both sides nice and tight against the hoop. And this lays totally flat against our plate. It's totally centered on the plate. So we're good to go. Just gotta make another one. All right, so we're working on our A-pillars, and the roof kind of was a little bit intrusive here. It hung a little low. So Ty and I started to trim the roof, and then we came to the realization, because we thought that this was just plastic, that all this material on the inside of the roof is magnesium. So we lit some on fire, almost caught the whole roof on fire by using a cutting wheel, but we got it figured out. It's just super, super tough to try to cut it out. I mean, that looks like plastic to me, and then you look here and it's clearly not, so. Chevy, you crazy. Roof's all trimmed out, magnesium flakes everywhere. Don't catch yourself on fire there, bud. It's like all hands on deck today. Cody's cutting out doors. Tonka's making engine bay fill plates. And Ty and I are working on the A-pillars. Going hard today. Going hard. That was kind of a pain, but we got our A-pillars bent up. This car is not like any other car that I've ever done a cage, especially A-pillars in, with the A-pillar of the chassis being aluminum and it's steep angle in and it's steep angle back. It's pretty difficult. Messed up one, not really messed up, but just didn't fit quite how we liked it. Not quite enough headroom. That's it on the floor. But now you can see that this thing fits much better, super out of the driver's way. Way more head clearance. We moved it out further so that the driver's head would have more clearance right here, and it meets up with our rear tube, so pretty happy with it. This is it with the roof off. I was really working on getting it tight in here and still being able to clear the handle pulls for the Targa, because I kind of want the roof to still be able to come off. Gonna add some little braces in here, just we feel like it's gonna be that much stronger, especially considering the roof can come off the damn thing. All right, we're back today. It's a long night last night. Made a big giant mess. Lots of tubing everywhere. So I'm gonna clean up a little bit and then get going on the door bars. All right, I got my door bar notched and bent, and I'm just kind of grinding the end in. It's a really, really tight fit, so I just got to take a little bit out of a time until it fits. Yeah, that fits good here. I really even have to like snap it into the cage. It's nice and level down the chassis here. Plenty of room for the driver. You see if you close the door. Oh yeah. All right, so I got both the door bars bent up, the upper and the lower. I'm gonna go ahead and tack them in. How this cage is built, that is kind of difficult and it's very close in a lot of places. So the door bars are just gonna be tacked in, and I'm gonna basically build them all together and remove them when I go to weld the entire cage to be able to drop it down. The door bar actually fits in this little pocket that I was able to ding out to get in, and we'll be able to weld the chassis to the door bar there. So it's gonna be interesting to weld this thing up, but it's gotta fit good. There's the door bars. It took me way too long, but damn, they look good. I'm done. I'm exhausted. Been here by myself all day, which is a nightmare. Got the door bars all figured out, but I like them. Cage is near done. Once I get the other side all finished, I will start welding it. Getting there. This week, we made huge progress. Got the cage pretty much done. I still have to weld it, fit up a couple more tubes, but we're getting there. So next week, I'm gonna drop the cage down off the boxes, weld the top of everything, bring it back up, weld the cage in place. I'll probably start fitting up my seat, figuring out my steering column, maybe get that fabricated, and also the pedals. I'm gonna be waiting on a lot of parts from HGK, a lot of carbon Kevlar parts, the sequential transmission. So in the meantime, I'm just gonna try to get as much fab work done as possible. Might set the subframes in with the engine, start figuring out suspension arms with Part Shop Mac, so it's gonna be a busy week. Stay tuned, make sure to like, comment, and share.